It was 3:06 a.m. when my front door exploded inward, the sound like a thunderclap ripping through the silence of our quiet suburban home. For men in shoddy, fake police gear stormed in, their flashlights slicing through the dark, shouting, "HOA enforcement." Nobody moved. They thought they were about to terrorize another helpless family, but they had no idea who they were dealing with. My 17-year-old son, Ethan, had skills they couldn't fathom, and this sleepy neighborhood was about to witness a takedown that would shake our town to its core. By sunrise, their entire operation would unravel, exposed as the predatory scam it was. Never underestimate a father protecting his family. Have you ever been pushed to the brink and had to fight back? Let me know in the comments. Looking back, I was naive to think this nightmare started with a simple parking violation. I'm just an ordinary software engineer, not some vigilante, but 3 months ago, I moved to Willow Creek, broke and desperate after what happened to Mrs. Thompson, my 84-year-old neighbor from my old apartment complex. She was a kind soul who brought Ethan and me homemade pies every Sunday after my wife passed. She'd lived in her condo for 15 years, never missed an HOA payment, never caused trouble. Then this woman, Laura Bennett, started hammering her with violation after violation: wrong mailbox color, unapproved curtains, unauthorized patio chairs. The fines piled up: $1,800, $2,400, $3,200, always the same amounts, always for things that were never issues before. The stress broke her. Mrs. Thompson had a heart attack, clutching a stack of violation notices, tears still wet on her face, trying to figure out how to pay $5,000 for a door painted the wrong shade of gray, a color the HOA had approved 2 years earlier. That image haunts me every day. So, when I had to move after helping with her funeral, I chose Willow Creek because the rent was cheap. How bad could another HOA be? I was about to find out. Laura had been running her scheme in our community for 4 months when I arrived, though I didn't know it then. Within my first week, I got a violation notice that chilled me to the bone. It was identical to Mrs. Thompson's, same wording, same fine, same smug tone about community standards. The violation was for my 2015 Chevy pickup, a reliable truck I bought for hauling work equipment, not some junker. According to Laura, it violated some obscure rule about commercial vehicles in a residential zone. The fine, $1,800 plus $150 in processing fees, with a warning of escalated enforcement if unpaid within 10 days. My hands shook as I read it, Mrs. Thompson's ghost whispering warnings in my ear. Unlike her, I had a software engineer's knack for debugging problems. If this was a scam, there'd be evidence. I called the number on the notice and got Laura, whose voice was like sugar laced with venom. When I questioned the violation, her tone turned patronizing. "Mr. Carter, ignorance of the rules isn't an excuse for noncompliance," she said, echoing the exact phrase used on Mrs. Thompson. The hair on my neck stood up, but I stayed calm. "I just want to understand the rule, ma'am, so I can fix it." Her laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. "The problem is your attitude, Mr. Carter, but I appreciate you trying to learn proper procedures. Perhaps you'd benefit from volunteering with our compliance committee." That's when I did something reckless. "You're right, Ms. Bennett. I'd love to volunteer to understand the process better." Silence stretched so long I thought she'd hung up. Then her voice returned, smugly pleased. "Well, Mr. Carter, that's the attitude we need. Come to the HOA office tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll show you how real community leadership works." Ethan thought I'd lost it. "Dad, why help the woman scamming us?" I didn't know if I was being smart or stupid, but I knew Mrs. Thompson died feeling helpless, and I'd be damned if I let that happen again. If I could get inside their operation, I might find proof to stop them. The HOA office, tucked between a nail salon and a tax service, felt like enemy territory. Laura greeted me with a smile that never reached her eyes and handed me a stack of violation notices to file. They were carbon copies of mine, same codes, same fines, same threats. Sorting through them, my engineer brain spotted patterns. 23 violations in 4 months, all targeting single parents, elderly homeowners, or recent divorcees, people least likely to fight back. The real breakthrough came from Margaret Hayes, the 78-year-old part-time secretary with thick glasses and a sweet confusion about technology. She mistook me for an official volunteer and gave me a key to the filing cabinets. Those files were a goldmine. Bank statements showing mismatched HOA collections, correspondence revealing Laura's scams in 2 other communities, and a spreadsheet projecting revenue from targeting vulnerable residents. In 4 months, Laura had stolen $23,000 from Willow Creek alone, with $40,000 hauls from prior scams in Oak Ridge and Pine Valley. Ethan became my tech support, setting up cloud backups and teaching me to record calls. At a community barbecue, Laura's boyfriend, Tom Harris, the enforcement coordinator, got drunk and boasted to me about their scheme. Pick the right targets: single moms, old folks, divorcees. They don't fight back. Hit them with violations, escalate, and boom, easy money. My phone, hidden in my pocket, recorded every word, including his brag about a corrupt cop, Officer Torres, who ensured HOA business stayed HOA business. Ethan's eyes widened when I played it back. Dad, this is huge. We need to call the police. But Tom's mention of Torres made local cops a risky bet. We called my brother-in-law, Jack, a former Marine who'd been mentoring Ethan. Jack's response was blunt. This is federal fraud, James. You need real law enforcement, not local cops who might be dirty. Get more evidence. For a week, I dove into the files, photocopying bank statements and violation logs while Margaret unknowingly aided me. Ethan organized everything digitally. Then Margaret dropped a bombshell, nervously whispering, Laura mentioned a compliance inspection for you, Mr. Carter, maybe at night. Said some residents need a direct lesson in respecting authority. My blood ran cold. This wasn't about fines, Anna Maria, it was a planned home invasion. Jack confirmed my fears. These are organized criminals with police protection. They're planning to target your family to shut you up. Ethan overheard and asked, what if they come to our house? Jack's pause was heavy. Ethan, if it happens, stay in your room and call 911. Later, Jack revealed he'd taught Ethan firearms safety and defensive tactics, knowing predators like Laura existed. The gun's safe in my bedroom? Ethan knew the combination. The next morning, Ethan explained with eerie calm. Uncle Jack taught me to handle weapons responsibly and stay calm under pressure. If bad people come, I'm ready to protect us. It was surreal, my son sounding like a soldier, not a kid worried about college applications. Margaret called that afternoon, whispering, Laura and Tom are planning something for 3 a.m. tomorrow. They want to teach you a lesson. Ethan's eyes burned with resolve. Dad, what's our plan? I couldn't run. Laura would keep preying on others like Mrs. Thompson. That evening, we prepared, securing doors, checking cameras, and reviewing Jack's defense strategies. Ethan said, call for help first, document everything. Use force only if we have no choice. I looked at my son, wondering when he'd grown into this young man ready to face monsters. At 3:06 a.m., our door exploded. Tom led 3 men in cheap tactical gear, shouting, Police! HOA enforcement! Their badges were fake, their warrant a copy shop fraud. Ethan, get to your room. Call 911. I yelled. He vanished, and I faced Tom, pleading, Don't hurt my son. I'll pay. Tom laughed, savoring his power. Then Ethan reappeared, holding our legally registered handgun with a Navy SEAL's precision. Step away from my father, he said, voice steady. I've called 911. You're trespassing in fake uniforms, of federal crime. Tom scoffed, but fear flickered in his eyes. One thug backed toward the door, muttering, You didn't say the kid had a gun. Tom, too arrogant to retreat, lunged at Ethan. The gunshot's crack deafened the room. Tom collapsed, clutching his leg, screaming. The others fled as sirens wailed. By sunrise, Detective Larson was reviewing our security footage, shaking her head. Clear case of breaking and entering with intent to commit fraud. Tom's fake gear cost $600 online. His warrant was a downloaded template. The footage of him bragging about Officer Torres broke open a corruption case. News spread like wildfire, our story going viral as Ethan explained. People hate corrupt bullies getting what they deserve. Margaret turned over a box of copied documents, and 8 victims formed a support group, exposing Laura's targeting of vulnerable residents. The audit revealed $31,000 stolen from Willow Creek, $127,000 across 4 communities. Laura was a professional con artist, moving from town to town before questions arose. Laura's trial was a circus. Her high-priced lawyer painted us as villains, claiming I'd stalked her and weaponized Ethan. They spread lies online, even hired a psychologist to call Ethan's calm demeanor proof of my manipulation. But Ethan's viral video timeline, using our footage and records, demolished their lies. Margaret's testimony about Laura's fraud was devastating. The prosecution's evidence bank records, Tom's confessions, our footage, and victim testimonies was ironclad. Ethan's courtroom moment was electric. When asked if he was proud of shooting Tom, he said, "I'm proud I protected my family. I'm not proud violence was needed." The jury took 6 hours. Laura got 6 years, Tom 3, Torres 4, with full restitution ordered. 6 months later, at a community impact hearing, Margaret spoke of her fear, and victims shared their pain. Laura's assets funded a $140,000 victim support fund. Margaret became HOA president, banning arbitrary fines and fostering transparency. Ethan, now a local hero, spoke at schools about fighting corruption, aiming for a career in consumer protection law. Our case sparked federal investigations, exposing similar scams in 12 states. Ethan's evidence-gathering methods became a law enforcement model, and new HOA transparency laws passed in 3 states. A year later, an email from Texas military families facing a similar scam reignited Ethan's fire. "Dad, we can't ignore this. They deserve justice." I looked at my son, now a man I trusted with life and death decisions. "Are you sure, Ethan? We could have a quiet life." He smiled. "We know how to fight this. We can't let others suffer." Our methods have since prevented over $2 million in HOA fraud, and the Carter-Ethan Act for Transparency is law in 15 states. Sometimes, ordinary people fighting back can spark extraordinary change. Have you ever faced a bully and had to decide fight or flee? What would you do if another family needed your help? Share below, because our fight for justice is far from over.